They smile to your face, but turn their backs the moment you stumble. They think you'll always be there, waiting, hoping, clinging to the scraps of their approval. But here's the truth no one talks about. They'll miss you, not because they cared, but because they'll finally understand no one else will ever put up with them the way you did. The silence you're left with feels crushing, doesn't it? Like the world has moved on without you. But let me ask you this. What happens when you stop waiting for their recognition? What happens when you decide you're done seeking validation from people who never deserved your loyalty? That's when everything changes. That's when you realize the power they feared wasn't in their absence, it's in your freedom. And trust me, they'll notice when you're gone. But by then, you'll be too far ahead to even care. They say the loneliest place in the world is rock bottom, but they're wrong. The loneliest place is standing in the shadows of people who only notice you when it's convenient for them. You've been there, haven't you? Waiting for someone to check in, to ask how you're really doing, to say, "I've got your back." But all you've gotten is silence. You've poured your heart into people who couldn't even spare a second glance when you needed them most. Each time you stumbled, they turned it into a joke. Each time you reached out, they let your hand fall. And now, as you sit in the quiet aftermath, a cold realization sets in. The only person you can truly rely on is staring back at you in the mirror. And here's the thing, no one tells you about reaching that point, and it doesn't break you, it hardens you. This is where the story begins to change. Not for them, but for you. Because the same silence that felt like a curse will soon become your sanctuary. The same pain they ignored will become the fire that reshapes everything. And when you rise, because you will, they'll see what happens when someone decides to stop waiting and starts becoming. You've been knocked down, yes, but the fall is only the start. What comes next? That's what they'll never be ready for. They don't see you, do they? They see the mistakes, the stumbles, the times you didn't measure up to their impossible expectations. They've decided you're weak, that you're not worth their time or attention. The whispers behind your back sting more than the words they say to your face. And the worst part? They think they're right. Every glance they throw your way drips with condescension. Every laugh when you falter feels like a knife in your chest. You've heard it all. They'll never make it. They're not strong enough. Why even try? They act as if you're invisible, until it's time to point out your flaws. But they don't know the storm inside you. They don't see the sleepless nights where you wrestle with self-doubt and exhaustion, pushing through a world that seems determined to hold you down. They think they've won because they don't realize something crucial. Their underestimation isn't your weakness, it's your weapon. That pain they mocked, it's your armor now. The loneliness they left you with, that's where you found clarity. The frustration of being overlooked, it's the fuel that will drive you further than they ever thought possible. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. What you need is to let this moment of pain become your foundation. Because when the world tells you you can't, that's when you dig in. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. The stakes are high because this isn't just about them. It's about you. It's about choosing whether you let their laughter break you or build you. And trust me, the moment you decide to rise, every thing changes. They've underestimated the wrong person. And now you're about to show them what that mistake really costs. Something shifts the moment you stop looking outward for answers and start looking inward. At first, it's quiet, just a small voice telling you that enough is enough. But that voice grows louder, fiercer. You look around at the wreckage, the hurt, the empty promises, and instead of feeling defeated, you feel something you haven't felt in a long time: resolve. They underestimated you, didn't they? They thought you were weak, fragile, someone who would crumble under the weight of rejection and loneliness. But what they didn't realize is that every time they ignored you, they were handing you something far more valuable than their approval. They were giving you freedom. Freedom to stop caring about their opinions. Freedom to forge your own path. Freedom to become something far beyond their comprehension. You start small, testing the waters of this new strength. Maybe it's a quiet decision to stop waiting for their calls, or a bold move to prioritize yourself for the first time. Each step feels like shedding an old skin, like breaking free from invisible chains that had bound you for far too long. And then it happens. A moment that changes everything. You look at yourself, really look, and for the first time, you see someone worth fighting for. Someone who doesn't need validation from anyone else. Someone who can rise from the ashes of doubt and disappointment and rebuild themselves into something unbreakable. The transformation isn't instant, but it's relentless. You channel the anger, the sadness, and the pain into fuel. Every setback becomes a stepping stone. Every insult becomes a reminder of how far you've come. And slowly, the world around you starts to shift. Not because it changed, but because you did. You stand taller now, unafraid to face whatever comes next. The people who doubted you, they don't intimidate you anymore. In fact, they barely matter. Because this journey isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you are always capable, always strong, always enough. They called you a victim. They laughed when you fell. But they forgot one critical thing. The most dangerous person in the world is the one who has nothing left to lose and everything to gain. Now, you're unstoppable. This is it. The moment they never thought would come. The same faces that once sneered, whispered, and dismissed you now wear a new expression: fear. Because you're no longer the person they could push around, ignore, or overlook. You've become something they never imagined. Unstoppable. You stand before them, not for their approval, not for revenge, but to reclaim everything they tried to strip away. Their words, their laughter, their doubts. They're nothing more than echoes of the past now, because today, you're not here to defend yourself. You're here to show them the truth. You don't speak softly anymore. Your voice carries the weight of every struggle, every tear, every sleepless night they caused. Their words, their laughter, their doubts. You thought I'd stay down, didn't you? You thought your words could break me. Your actions could erase me. But look at me now. I'm still here, stronger, louder, unstoppable. Every step you take is deliberate, every word a declaration. The power they try to steal is written in your every movement. They shuffle, avoid your gaze, try to mask their unease, But it's too late for them now. They're no longer in control of this narrative. You are. You remind them, not with bitterness, but with conviction, that their underestimation wasn't a weakness, but a blessing. I should thank you, you say, with fire in your voice, because every time you doubted me, you gave me fuel. Every time you laughed, you lit a spark. And now, that spark is a fire, and it's burning everything you thought you could control. This isn't just a confrontation, it's a reckoning. The tables have turned, the power has shifted, and they know it. What they see before them isn't just someone who survived. It's someone who has risen above, unshaken and unstoppable. And as you walk away, leaving them to sit in the rubble of their own arrogance, one thing is clear: they'll never underestimate you again. But by then, it won't matter, because you've moved far beyond their reach. You look back now, not with regret, but with clarity. Every betrayal, every laugh at your expense, every moment of loneliness, it all shaped the person you become. What once felt like endless pain now feels like a crucible, forging you into something unbreakable. They thought they were burying you, but they were planting a seed. And now, you've grown into someone they can't touch, someone they'll never forget. The power you found wasn't handed to you. It was earned in the fire of every challenge they threw your way. You've risen, not for revenge, not to prove a point, but because it was always within you to rise. You've learned that strength isn't about never falling. It's about standing back up every time, taller and more determined than before. No longer beholden to some bosom friend, but pure satisfaction. The silence that once haunted you now feels like peace. The approval you once craved doesn't even matter anymore. You've built a foundation so solid that no storm, no whisper, no doubt can shake it. And so, to those who underestimated you, who doubted you, who thought they could break you, thank you. You taught me what it means to fight, to endure, to become. But the person I am now, they don't need you anymore. They don't need anyone's validation. I've found my strength, my power, my voice. Now I'm not just unshaken, I'm unstoppable. If this resonated with you, if you're ready to stop being underestimated and start becoming unstoppable, don't wait. Hit that like button, subscribe, and join a community of warriors who rise above. Share your story in the comments. What's the one challenge you're determined to overcome? Let's rise together.